It's Edge Radio Australia time for progress over perfection. Those P's, mate, I'll tell you right now, I'm tripping over my tongue as I get into this today. I am looking forward to today's show because apart from the fact you've given me this incredibly detailed handwritten note with I'm going to put it very honestly, have you ever studied medicine?
Well, it can be a thought.
Absolutely. Now, we're here to talk about relationships, obviously.
Yes.
Now, today we're going to talk about a very important subject in relationships that, you know, it's one of the things that we're not supposed to talk about, okay? Good conversation. We're not supposed to talk about politics. We're not, or religion. We're not allowed to talk about sex. Guess what we're going to talk about today?
Today we talk about sex.
Mara, lovely to have you here, mate. Of course, this is our relationship all about relationships. We'll try our show about relationships. And I always want to just lean on this. The progress over perfection is a great name. It really is. Because let's face it, everything's a bit of a work in progress when it comes to relationships, right?
But life is a work in progress, no?
Well, absolutely. Oh, well, I'm a testament to that.
Too many people believe we must be perfect to do something.
Yeah.
No, start to doing something and then you learn.
That's right.
Along the line. When we get married,
We're not getting married. You're married for a start, and we don't.
if me and you were married and we never been married before, we don't know what it means being married.
So true.
Because nobody told us how to be married.
No, it's not something you'll do.
Or be in a long-term relationship. So we make mistakes.
We do.
So if we learn, we make progress.
Yep.
Otherwise, we can perfect ourselves. So
Totally agree. Now, if we're after you've listened to the show, we've had a bit of a natter for a while, and it's great to see people are listening already. We'd love your comments. Get your comments in. Of course, we love this at our age. We love to be interactive and answer any questions you might have. All comments for that matter. So I'm sure that some things we'll talk about will spit up a few comments thrown our way. But
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure, mate. But the thing is, obviously, if you get something from tonight's show, but you might want to go further with you and your wife or your husband or your partner, whatever relationship it is. How can we get hold of you? Should we need to have a bit of a one-on-one or two-on-one?
one-on-one with me,
Yeah.
or they can connect with me.
100%.
Well, they can find me here. They can call you, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will give them my number.
I will do that. I will. Speed on.
Otherwise, they can go on my website, maurodaviddi.com, maurodabiddi.com.
Yeah.
And they can find me on Facebook, on what's called YouTube. It's called YouTube.
Okay.
Still
Right, I've
YouTube.
heard about it. Yeah.
And if they want to, they can find me on my Progress Over Perfection podcast on Spotify and Apple and somewhere else. Anyway, I try to be everywhere.
You are everywhere, mate.
I
Tell you what,
try.
You're a popular fella. You're
I'm
a popular fella.
yes.
Well, you might not be quite so popular after I get into these questions.
Yes.
As I say, on this fantastic handwritten note you've given me.
Can you read it?
Well, not very well. And this is also where the vanity comes in,
Yeah.
okay? I haven't got the glasses on, and I
Okay.
should have the glasses on, but, you know, vanity is what, that's my progress.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm never going to hit the perfection in the eyesight department. So let's just jump straight into it. This question here, my word, mate. Start with just warm us up, why don't you? There's no foreplay involved here. You put in this. How do mismatched couples, how much do mismatched libidos affect couples? What can you do? This is a big thing.
This is a big question.
Yeah.
Okay, the questions I'm choosing when I come in usually is about something up in my office.
Right.
So there's a couple, and we work about one topic.
Sure.
And okay, I have an idea. Okay, this can be something for a podcast or to talk, because anyway, people want to learn about sex and intimacy. Is something very important. So we need to understand first. We need to understand how people match.
Okay.
Because the perfect would be that, for example, me and you, we go out,
Yep.
okay? We like each other, okay?
Okay.
Maybe I'm the one with low libido, you're the one with higher libido.
Sure.
Okay? For me, to match with you, I push my libido up to match yours.
Okay.
So this, when you have this initial phase, that you go out with this person and it looks like that you are in symbiosis. You are together. You're there.
Sure.
You do it all over the
Hey,
places.
honeymoon period, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, at one point, it's not that one change and the other one stay.
Okay.
Is that the one with the low libido at this point is me, okay? I go back to my loma libido.
Right, you go back to your sort of default setting, right?
Yeah, default setting. Okay. Because the sparking is gone. Okay, the initial boost.
Yep.
Love is a boost that fake everything. Okay, because it help us to match us. And now what happened? You have one person, so you that want to you have more desire,
Sure.
higher desire than me.
Okay.
But it's not that I have less desire. It just maybe have a different kind of desire. So what
Okay.
happened? We can discuss about this.
Yeah.
What happened if you approach me over and over again, I reject you in some ways.
Yeah.
You feel rejected,
Of course. Self-esteem. Boom.
unwanted.
Yeah.
You feel resentful, but at the same time, I feel pressured. I feel inadequate. I feel guilty. I don't understand what's going on with me.
Yep.
Okay, I try to ask my question about myself. What I do wrong? What about my body? So here is about how you act and react
Okay.
about things.
Right. Well, ultimately, that's what you've got control of, right? How you react, how you act.
Yeah. There's two phases. You have responsive and spontaneous. Responsive is when you need a lot of hugging, you need a lot of caress, you need talks, you build, and it's not spontaneous. As the spontaneous is you on.
It happens.
You look a couple of breaths and you on. Okay?
It's like you're reading my mind.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You look at maybe if you like man,
Yeah.
you look at a nice body, a man body,
Sure.
naked body on TV, and say, "Wow, I'm on." Okay, that is reactive.
Sure.
The other one is spontaneous. The other one is reactive.
Now, the reactive one, just let's talk about that a little bit more. Okay? Explain that a little bit. Is that more of a premeditated sort of thing? Is that what you're thinking? or-
No, it's just a different way to perceive sex.
Okay.
Okay. And what is important here, the couple talk about how they want to be.
Yep.
Okay. And maybe compromise. Okay. So, for example, if I'm the one that react, okay, need from you foreplay, I need from you talks, I need from you huggings, I
Yep.
need from you kissing, and then without sexual end,
Sure.
and then maybe I get aroused.
Okay. It's
Okay.
a lot of work.
It's not
You
to
know,
work.
it is a lot of work.
Not to work.
Right?
And it's not that there's one gender more in the other one.
Oh, that's so true.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the perception is that men are always ready.
Yeah.
And women never.
Not always true.
I'm telling you.
So not always true.
I'm telling you, couples is not about the perception of people.
Sure.
Okay, what we perceive and what maybe the cinema want to show us.
Of course.
Couples is different. I had a couple. For example, we worked for 6 months with this couple, and he was the one
Yep.
that because he didn't like about himself his body,
Gotcha.
and he has problem to be naked in front of the partner.
Right. Okay. I think you find that's a lot more common than people would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the difference is women talk about, we don't talk about.
Hell no. Oh, look, as men, we are closed traps on this one.
Yes.
Yeah. No
we
doubt
don't
about
talk
it.
about.
No.
Because we have this idea that we should be always on point.
Well, it's
Huh?
manly.
It's
right?
manly.
Okay, so we have to be.
Yeah, we're manly.
Well, okay. I'm going to just say something personal here, right?
Absolutely.
From the point of view, I had an ex-partner who used to literally, she used to call me the ever-ready bunny, right? Like,
yeah.
you know, and I wore that like a badge of honor. I was like, I like that. Like, it made me feel more manly. Not that a bunny makes me feel manly, but the point of what she was sort of saying is, you know, he's always charged up and ready to go, right?
Yeah.
And I can't help but I'd be a liar if I didn't say that strokes my ego, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But think if someone, maybe you have an experience with someone, for some reason, judge the way that you do things.
Sure.
Or judge a part of your body.
Yep.
All your self-esteem go in the bin.
In a second.
Straight away.
Yep. Red hot.
Like this.
Gone.
So with this couple, we walked about to discover what was sex and what is intimacy. Okay?
Because there's a very big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
The definition between the two and what is the perception between the person in the relationship about these two important parts. Yeah. And how you do that?
You tell me.
Watching things and talking with between the couples about what's going on. For example, with my couples, we when we talk about intimacy and sex and sexuality, we watch pictures.
Sure.
Or naked body,
Yep.
or painting, or frame of some red light porn videos,
Yep.
and they describe what they see.
Okay.
For some people, the same picture is intimacy, some is erotic,
Yep.
some is art.
Perception's everything, isn't it? Really?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Okay.
Okay. So, but what is important here? Where the imbalance come from?
Oh, look, okay, some of it, there's so many different imbalances. It could be comfort with your own body.
Yes.
It could be your past experiences.
Yes.
It could be, quite frankly, good old-fashioned hormones, like where
Hormones.
you're sitting in
Absolutely.
that sort of part. There's so many variables there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know that when women reach the menopause time, that is the moment, if you look at the statistic,
Sure.
the higher number of divorce is around the period of women reach menopause.
It's true. Yeah.
Because everything dropped for them. So they become...
I'd be careful with that
No,
statement.
it's true. They become more open, more to talk about things and not willing to compromise.
Okay. Okay.
So it's very
Interesting.
important.
The word compromise is very interesting there.
Yeah.
Because, okay, in different periods of your life, you are, let's face it, more malleable. Okay. You're more open to compromise.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that menopause and the change in a woman's body
Absolutely.
would affect that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But men have a similar thing that do not affect in the same way as menopause affect men. That is called andropause.
Now, you have to explain this to me. I need this one.
Andropause is the menopause of men.
Okay.
That we don't talk much. Again, in the history.
Well, I've never even heard the term, so there you go.
Andropause.
Right, there you go.
Because in history,
Yeah.
who was researching about sexuality and sex and pleasure was men.
Yeah,
So
I'd agree with that.
it's much easier for one gender to point the finger to the other one.
Of course it is.
Okay, because you are man, you are John. But andropause is, we called when you reach a point that you feel like a middle-age crisis for men.
Okay.
Same.
Yep. All right.
Same.
So the time frame's pretty similar. So
Similar.
At the same time, a lot of men are running off to get a sports car.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
sport car, and change their hair, maybe long hair, and
Right.
maybe the black leather jacket, motorbike,
Yep.
these things,
Oh. See, this is where I fall over on a personal front, okay? See, I did the sports cars
Yeah.
and the long hair when I was younger.
Yeah.
You see? So I get to middle age now. And what do I do, mate? Do I buy a station wagon? I don't know. Come on, I can do it backwards, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, in the women is more visible. Okay, because there is a physiological change.
Sure.
Where in man is less tangible as a
Okay.
thing, but it's there.
Right.
Okay. So you say right, stress and fatigue, and mental health, hormones,
All
your
these
body
things.
change, emotional connection with your partner.
Yep. Now, the emotional, okay, that's a biggie. Because how many couples, especially if they've gone through life and you've had your kids, right? Okay, and then when the kids leave the nest,
Yep.
exactly the same sort of age you're talking about,
Yep.
instantly you've got one less thing in common. You really have, you're not having that raising kids thing.
Yes, that's true. This is why it's important through your relationship with your partner, you talk about the changes. I talk about the goals. I talk about the perspective that you have in life.
Okay.
I'll give an example. You know, the three guys went on the moon.
Yes.
Okay? These three guys went on the moon. They went in a higher place in you can be. Okay?
Sounds fair, yep.
Oh, after the moon, where you go?
Look, mate, Mars is your next target,
Mars.
I guess.
Next.
Yep.
Okay, so you can say I drove I don't know, I raced Formula 1 for 12 years. Yes, but I went on the moon. I was the first man on the
See,
moon.
I'm more impressed by Formula One, but that's me. But yeah.
Okay,
but I'm with you on that.
you
100%.
understand, no?
Yeah. There's a pecking order.
Yeah. So what happened when you train yourself to go on the moon? Okay. When you come back, if you don't have a plan about what you're going to do after, what you're going to do after, okay, so everything will be boring.
Yes.
And maybe you can feel depressed because there's nothing else can excited you as to go on the moon.
This is such a true and important thing you're talking about. I've actually had extensive talks with some psychologists about this, and we've had conversations about men after World War II, particularly coming back and, basically having to live that life of full-on adrenaline and then returning to normal society. Well, it's the same thing as if you're an astronaut or you used to race cars or whatever. If you've had a life full of adrenaline, or a professional sports person, whatever, when you return to normal life, what
true.
a change.
True.
Yeah.
Here's the same with when you have a kid. Okay.
Yep.
When you have a kid,
Sure.
that kid become your moon.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. You ride your moon. Okay.
Yep.
You walk on the moon with your partner. You build this thing, and then at one point the moon walk away. And what are you gonna do with that?
I suppose you're going to have to walk on the sun, but never mind. Boom, boom.
Yes, if you get burned.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely
You understand
right.
what I'm
Yeah, I do.
what I'm saying here, no? Like this you say right. The soldier are trained to go to die in battle.
Sure. Yep.
So not many of them actually make a plan when they come back.
I agree.
They want to make a plan or they want to stay in the office.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Okay, so it's important a couple talk about what's going on when the kids walk away. What's going on when, what are we going to do when we were free from our kids?
Okay. I mean, that is a great theory, but in practice, it's so hard to have that conversation. Like, it's incredibly hard to have that conversation.
Yes, again, a couple that is healthy
Yep.
and is able to talk about different things,
Sure.
different topic, will have the capacity and the tools to
Yep.
talk about these things as well. Because the conversation is not one, but it's many conversation with time.
Of course.
So it's a conversation that you have not in all in 1 week, but you have in a span of time that go between 18 and 20 years time.
That's a long conversation.
Long
Right,
conversation.
Yeah.
But a relationship that works knows everything about the couple, about the partner. What is change, what is not change, if they can have something, why they change. I give you an example. There's this couple I worked with three years ago. They came in because, again, they had the kids left the nest.
Yep.
And at one point, he was buying for her the same chocolate for 20 years
Okay.
because it was her favorite chocolate.
Right.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, at one point, she developed an allergy to something about inside the chocolate.
Right.
So she couldn't anymore eat the chocolate.
Okay.
So he was buying the chocolate. She was throwing the chocolate in the bin.
So there was no communication there.
Good.
Right.
Now, she was resenting him because, on perspective, he could understand that she grew the allergy.
Yeah.
The other one grew resentment because she never told him about the change.
That's right.
Okay,
Well, she appeared ungrateful because they're not sharing the information.
but yes, but he could ask.
He could ask.
Could ask. You still like this chocolate? It's 20 years to give you the same chocolate. You still like the chocolate. So when they say and talk through, they recognize that actually they could have just sit and talk about. They just avoid to talk. One didn't ask about because they didn't want to maybe put on a scene.
Sure.
And the other one wouldn't talk about because she wouldn't be happy to ask him to stop to get the chocolate because he was happy to do this for 20 years.
20 years.
So no one talks.
And fundamentally, this is the whole bottom line.
Yeah.
Right? It is all about communication. Now, if you're
Communication.
winding the clock back, if we're talking about the fact of the libido difference,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay. How does a couple have a conversation about that when one, for argument's sake, wants to have a lot of sex, one doesn't want to have a lot of sex, but that conversation is awkward. It's difficult, right? And you're worried about sort of saying to someone, you know, kind of like, you know, why don't you want to have as much sex, or why do you want to have so much sex? It's an awkward conversation, and I think that's probably what makes people postpone that conversation forever and never actually address it. So, okay, in that situation, what's a tool? What's something you can do to bring that to the fore?
I give you a few of them.
Okay.
One, most important, using I statement.
Okay.
Is okay when you ask something that can be very emotional, triggery for the other person. For example, I feel we are a couple.
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
Is few months we don't have sex. Okay, we're not intimate. So I say, Aaron, I feel disconnected. What do you mean? You say, well, you know, it's been a little bit a while, and I wonder if there is anything here I can do to spark this thing.
Sure.
Can you tell me, how do you feel about sex? So how do you see sex? How do you like to initiate sex?
Yep.
You know, because maybe you are the one that ready,
Could be.
touch,
Yep.
ready. The other one need a massage, need other things, need time because there's kids, because the mother-in-law make something. You know, there's many things.
I take your point, but there's also, in my opinion, okay, very unpopular opinion, I'm quite sure, but I think there's sometimes just an absolutely unrealistic expectation of foreplay. Okay, like, you know, foreplay, you shouldn't need 20 hours of foreplay. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells for your partner to be in the mood, right? Okay.
What is foreplay for you?
Well, it could be so many different things. It's obviously the physical element of touch and all that sort of thing, touch and kiss and you know, all of that. But yeah, like spending time together. Look, foreplay, very simple. Foreplay can be simple as holding hands, right?
See?
Okay, so I'm not talking about, you know, a sexual act. I'm talking about, you know, the showing that person means a lot to you.
Yeah.
Showing that they're special, showing that you love them, right? Now, what I'm getting at here is, it has been my experience that some women, in my opinion anyway, want an unrealistic level of that. Okay? Not a slam bam, thank you, man, everything ready in 5 minutes. But again, like, kind of like, Well, I had a discussion with. This isn't actually me. This is actually genuinely
Absolutely.
a friend of mine that was talking
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
recently, and that their wife had said that essentially, if you want to sleep together, you've got to put 3 days of preparation into it. And I thought, like, that is just a very unfair expectation of basically her attitude was kiss up to me for 3 days if you want to, like, just holding something. And that, to me, that just, it's what you're doing there. That is, that's an exchange. That's commerce, right?
Yes, but we need to understand as well that at the same time you cannot pretend that your partner is ready when you are ready.
Oh, totally true. Yeah.
So now the 3 days foreplay, I don't know. I think the foreplay should start Monday morning,
Okay.
okay, and then maybe you get laid on Sunday or Saturday, okay. But it's about stay together, stay tuned, listen to each other,
Sure.
caressing each other. Say I love you before to go in bed when you wake up. Go back at home and smile and hug your partner, kiss your partner.
Yeah.
You know what is the longest that usually couples spend to kiss in a day? This.
Yeah, that's a bit sad, isn't it? It is a bit sad.
Yes. So to help your body to develop the hormones of love,
Yep.
oxytocin, you need 20-second hug,
Right?
6-second kiss.
Really? Okay. Get the stopwatch out. Get the phone. Press the old clicker.
One of the things I ask to some couples is to spend 15 minutes, 15
Yep.
15 minutes kissing.
But that's a tough gig.
It's not a kick. It depends how you kiss. It's about connecting. It's about touching the body. It's about the body touch to each other. You feel connect. When you sleep with your partner,
Yep.
you bond
Of course.
because your body are connected.
Yeah.
You touch it to each other. Correct?
Yep.
And how you bond is that. Now, if you kiss for 15 minutes, of course you're not there with your tongue.
Not a
for 15
teenager anymore, mate. I do my best.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you have caress, you
Yeah.
talk, you gaze each other eyes, you kiss, you smile, maybe you make a joke, you bond, you build the trust, the connection with your partner.
Agreed.
Yeah? So, and maybe the other person that one have a lower libido, maybe should be the one sometimes to start the sex.
Sure.
To looking forward to do that.
Yep.
Hey, I want to go down on you tonight.
Okay.
For free. That's it. You do it.
Well, for free, I don't normally charge, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ballgame. But no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, that's a really great point too, because guess what? Sometimes it's really nice, whether in everything in life,
Yeah.
just to give, not in an expectation to receive, right?
Yeah.
And then often in sex, let's
Yeah.
face it, that's what happens. There's a transaction, you
Yeah.
know? I'll do this if you do this. And that's not a cool way to be. I mean, I don't think. Certainly not in a relationship, not in something it's actually loving and real.
If your partner loves you and you feel that your partner does everything is possible, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Bringing, hey, you know what? I'm not very in tune,
Sure.
but I'm going to make you happy, and then we're going to sleep. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
This sometimes is everything you need.
Yeah. True. True.
That's it. And then there is explore the meaning of sex, of course.
Okay.
Find, I would say, intimacy outside the bedroom, and maybe negotiate.
Well, I'm gonna ask you on this next question then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, look, is it normal to want sex with others while being in love with your partner?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. Here, we must understand what is a yes here. Okay. Now, betrayed affairs are always wrong.
Always.
Always wrong. When you have an affair
Yep.
and you betray your partner, probably you had other ways to say the same things. Okay?
How do you mean?
What do you mean? If you're not happy in your relationship,
Yep.
you can talk about that.
You can.
You can sit and talk. If the other person don't want to listen, well, you can take them to someone like me,
Sure.
a counselor, a
Yep.
therapist, or someone
Yep.
that can help both of them talk about. So, at one point, okay, an affair. Now, an affair for me is
There's great comments coming through, by the way. Lovely to see you there. Courage is a cure. Didn't expect to come upon this tonight. Good on you guys. Well, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And look, actually, that's a great point.
Yeah.
We're two blokes here, fiery Italian over there, and myself, who's just a good church-going fella.
Ozzy.
Hey.
Oi, oi.
Oi, indeed.
Oi, oi.
No, but I mean, okay, it's not certainly not a part of Australian culture for two blokes to sit around and talk about sex. And guess what? It needs to be. Right?
Yeah, should be.
And I'm very lucky because literally, I mean, I had a conversation with some close friends only a few weeks ago, and a bunch of fellas, we were talking about this sort of stuff, and I think it's important too, right?
Yeah.
Times they're changing. right?
Absolutely.
So, we appreciate that very much.
Now, what is important here, that in the question, is normal wanted to have sex with others?
Yeah.
I tell you a story.
Okay.
Years ago in Italy, was a friend of mine. He was married with this beautiful woman.
Okay.
And he was absolutely in love with this woman. And one day I asked him, have you ever looked other people? Have you ever desired other people? I said, of course. I'm married. I'm not blind.
Yes.
So you can like other people.
Sure.
You can find other people attractive.
Yep.
Now, there is a difference between understand, see, and look to the actually act on the thing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah? But, for example, have you ever dreamt about being with someone else while you were with your partner? Dreamed.
Yeah.
In your dream?
Yeah, I have.
That is a dream.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. You're not living it.
We live in an era where there is more naked body all over the places
everywhere you look.
than everywhere in history.
Yep.
So if you want to sell toothpaste, you put a naked body. If you want to sell a music LP, a naked body.
Yep.
So
Sex sells.
sex sells. Okay?
It does.
Now, the difference is what you do about that.
Well, okay. Ultimately, if you take the action, then you're cheating, right?
Yeah.
If you choose the option to, acknowledge your primal sort ofness, if you like, but not act upon it, then I don't see there's a problem on it at all. I was very lucky. I mean, I was raised in a family where my mum and dad were together and all of that. So they were together until my mum passed away. And I remember a story once that my mum told, that my mum and dad were driving down the road, and my mum was a very attractive woman, okay? And they're driving along, my dad had the sunglasses on, and he saw a pretty girl on the side of the road. Now, he's trying desperately to look at this pretty girl, steering wheel, and out the corner of the sunglasses, right? And my mum said, for God's sake, Peter, just look at the girl, right? Now, I love that for so many reasons, right? Because she's acknowledging that he's a human, okay? She's also acknowledging, well, it's also saying her confidence in their relationship, right? Okay. And I see it as I just see it as a really wonderful little snapshot of a relationship that actually
true.
works, right? And, so from that point onwards, that was earlier in their relationship, if he saw a girl, he would look at the girl. Now, that doesn't make him a cheat or anything like that, because guess what? I'm sure Mum was looking at the good-looking fellas too.
Come on.
Right? Come on.
Come on.
I just find jealousy such a sad thing.
Yeah.
I think jealousy destroys so many relationships. It's it's a tough
Agree.
thing. I mean, I work in the entertainment industry, right? So it's a very touchy-feely world. You know, we hug everybody. We're quite friendly with everybody. Now, if you're in a relationship with somebody who can't cope with that, that's a problem. That's a real problem.
Yeah, it's a problem.
You know, where it's part of the game. So I think it really just comes to your intent and actually your actions.
Yes.
I think that there's
Intent, action. Yes.
yeah.
But, sometimes having a desire for someone else and you talk with your partner, you're going to discover that maybe you miss something in your relationship.
Sure.
And you can maybe work on that. Or maybe there's a fantasy behind your dream. And
look, tell you right now, with that accent, mate, when you say the word fantasy, away we go. Come on. Roll with that accent. Go on.
come on. No, but it's important to understand that we get married, we pretend now. Today, people get married around 30, 35. But in time, we used to get married around 20, 25.
Yeah.
We live now 75, 80. Okay. Now it's 50 years together with the same person.
Yep.
Okay. Do you really think that in 50 years, in your mind, never come through the thought, hey, look at Salma Hayek. Huh.
Yeah. It's so
Come on.
right, right? Yeah.
Or you can choose one. you know?
I'll choose. Yeah, I'm
Or
happy
Brad
with that.
Pitt. Come on. Brad Pitt, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Exactly right. And I think it's healthy to acknowledge your own sexuality, right?
Yes.
I don't think, again, it comes down to intent and action. If you're not acting upon it, okay, or even maybe if you want to talk about the fantasy thing, maybe if you roll that into your fantasy, good on you,
Yes.
right? Yeah. But ultimately, if you're giving your partner the love and support and the relationship and the sexuality that they need, then, you know what? Guess what? You're not shopping elsewhere, are you?
No.
You're not.
No. As my nonna used to say,
Yeah.
If you have eaten at home, you don't go to the restaurant.
That's right.
Okay, so
Well, Nonna can cook. Nonna can cook.
my nonna can cook. Yes.
No, well, okay, we've spoken about fantasy, so I'm going to leap on to the last little
Yes.
point here, and I'm sure we can go on this one for a while, but how to introduce a new fantasy and toys without making your partner feel insecure. That's interesting. That's really
Okay.
insecure.
Now, in a world where there is, luckily today we are free to express each other. Okay, even in bed, people always done it, always express each other.
Sure.
But behind doors.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, if you think in Roman time, a man would never been able to go down on a woman.
Right. Didn't know
Okay.
that. Never thought about it.
Because a woman was under what do you mean?
Like
what do
an
you mean?
underclass or-
Underclass, yes.
Wow.
Underclass, and for him, do something like this would mean become like her.
Right.
Okay.
I've never heard that before.
Yes.
All right.
True. But at the same time, the same man could have gone to a prostitute,
Sure.
or male or female prostitute, and get him down
Right.
without problem.
Okay.
And he could have go down to another man on a superior class.
Bloody hell. Okay.
Complicated.
Yes, it is.
Now,
It is.
but this,
What a game of chess.
all of this was behind doors. Okay.
right.
Now, today we are in a society that we can explore, we can see. There's a lot of openness today.
Yep.
A little bit too much sometimes. But there's all openness. So, how are you going to introduce new game, you play,
Yep.
and new toys? First, choose the right time.
Okay. Timing is everything. Right.
You cannot go to a funeral and say, darling, do you want to try a dildo? Okay, so,
Oh, there's so many really bad jokes I just want to use right now. Go on.
you know, okay, so you could, because the other person can, when you introduce something new, you need to choose the right moment because the other person can think, I'm not enough anymore. Okay?
Yep.
He's got bored or she got bored about me. Many times it's just, hey, get to fire, you know? get the fire on.
Yeah, okay.
So this is why you need to actually ask and talk about your desire and your feeling. Again, communication. Okay.
Okay, hang on. Here comes the biggie, though. As far as rejection, what if you go and ask for something, right? And then, I mean, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking about being judged, right? So, I mean, I'll just say, I've had a pretty interesting sexual past. I've had women ask for some very strange stuff. And, you know, I've had I've lived.
Okay.
I've lived.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at, like, and I think it comes down to different personalities, but, you know, the people to have that boldness to ask for something that's a bit out of the ordinary, like they worry about judgment. I think it's a big part of it.
You know, one of the safest community around is the BDSM.
The safest.
The safest community
Okay.
to try this kind of things is BDSM community.
Right.
Because they need to talk about safety and
That's
what
true.
they love,
That's
what they
true.
like, what they pleasure.
Yep.
Is hurt or not hurt?
Oh, they fancy that safe word. Hey, hey.
Safe words. So here you need to do the same.
Okay.
Okay. So if me and you again.
Look, I like you a lot, mate. You're a great fella, but I'm sorry, you're playing with the wrong equipment. Okay, I have particular needs. You can't help me.
If me and you, we are in love, we find each other attractive, we have fun.
Sure.
Okay. Or maybe is a moment in life that maybe we try to find ourselves, okay, in some ways. It's important that you sit and talk. Look, have you ever dreamt about anything else about sex?
Yep.
Or everything we do is perfect? Because I don't believe everything you do in your bedroom is always perfect.
Of course not.
Okay.
No
so
way.
What would you try? Have you ever thought about someone else in bed with us?
Sure.
Have you ever thought to be watched to do
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
thing? Have you ever thought to be spanked about? Have you ever thought these things?
Yep.
Yes, no. At what degree? Okay. So you need to have a conversation about these things.
Well, it keeps coming back to that conversation, that communication,
communication.
right?
Absolutely.
I agree. Where I sort of hit the wall on this is that I see so many people have got hang-ups about their sexuality, right?
Yes.
And they are so worried about being judged. Is there something you can do that, I don't know, that pre-frames the question, if you like, that would help?
Think this. You know where is the G spot in men?
Sorry?
Where is the G spot in
Oh,
men?
see, I misheard you. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Where did you spot in men?
Yeah, well, I know where it is. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to try to have a pleasure from your G spot,
Yep.
you must communicate with your partner about what you want.
Of course. No doubt about it.
And that doesn't mean that you become whatever, okay? You just want to explore something about your body that you never learned before.
Well, you know what? We've got one body here, right? Okay, one body, one life. We may as well enjoy it. Okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah,
So
no, I
this
get that.
this was important that you find the right moment, the right time. Use again I statement. Okay,
Sure.
I feel, I would like, what do you think? No pressure. Okay, and have a conversation with a glass of wine.
Always helps.
Hey,
Bit of social lubricant. Yeah. Love it.
you know,
Yeah.
So this is important. All of these, all the three conversation, very important conversation people should have.
All right, I want to send you a bit of a curly one here.
Yes.
Okay. What if you meet this girl and she's amazing? All right. To tell you what, you know, you sort of, she makes you happy. You know, she makes you secure. You know, you're great friends. It's all wonderful. You're sexually attracted to each other. All of that, whatever. Everything looks fantastic, but ultimately your libidos are not aligned. Okay, and they're so far apart. What could you do? Like, I mean, what? Because okay, you've got this special relationship. You love this person. You've got a relationship which is deep. It's an actual connection, right? So all of the spiritual, all the emotional stuff is connecting like Lego. Okay, but say the sexual stuff is not actually playing the game. I understand the compromise, but is there something specific you could do? Because I have very open conversations with people, right? I'm very lucky in my role here and in life. And people are telling me this a lot. I hear it so much. And you think, geez, like you certainly wouldn't want to leave or end a relationship with someone that you love and adore because you're not getting it on in the bedroom or whatever room you choose or outside or wherever.
So this kind of situation is from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you have two choices here.
Okay.
Here, or you accept the fact that she has a different kind of libido,
Yep.
and you actually have a conversation with her about what are you feeling about that.
Yep.
Okay. And maybe you communicate and try to learn from each other, because maybe your high libido means, for example, that you want to have sex 3 times a day. Okay.
Right. Okay.
For you, her low libido is once a week.
Sure.
Okay, once a week for many people is a goal. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Then it depends what is for you and what is for her. Okay, so if you're so happy together,
Yeah.
if you so in tune together, are you able to talk about this, and are you able to work together
Yep.
to find a match?
Sure.
Because if you have good communication, you have good feeling, good bonding, well, can you find out how to work about sex?
How do you mean?
Well, what do you mean very low libido?
Well,
Give me a number.
Okay, here's the problem. Low libido, high libido. It depends on your stage of life, all sorts of things. It could be, it could be your health, it could be your job, it could be, there's so many different factors.
Yeah.
And I certainly know my libido is different to what it was in my 20s, right? Okay. But yes, look, okay, a low libido, I don't know. Jeez.
Okay,
I mean,
ask her how she feels turned on. When is the moment that she feels turned on? If she say, I feel turned on when you race a car with a rally car,
Yeah, it worked for me for years, trust me.
you're going to race a car.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, I know I'm at the stage of life now that if I said that to a girl, she'd say, when you do the dishes. So we're at a very different stage.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? I
course,
jest
of
and I tease about it. But okay, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Ask her.
Just ask. Ask
her.
Yeah, okay, what's going to light your fire?
What to turn you on? What turn you on?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's about love language.
Okay.
What to turn you on? If for her time is important,
Yep.
you need to spend time with her.
Sure.
If it's touch, you need to hug,
Yep.
hold hands, not touching sexually touch, because
yeah.
touch, many people believe touch is sex.
Sure.
Touch and sex is 2 different things.
Yeah.
Okay? Touch is holding hand, touching, caressing, be present.
Yeah, I'm smiling a little bit because in my mind, all I can hear is, that maybe mummy just wanted a massage. But there we go, right?
Yes.
But I mean, like a little bit of physical touch. And as a guy, let's be honest, okay, and again I'm generalising, but as a man, okay, when I'm certainly speaking for myself, if you're touching the woman you love and you're attracted to, guess what? There's physiological changes. Okay, I'm going to start being turned on. I'm going to start wanting sex, and that can be a problem if you're with someone who's with a mismatching libido, right?
Yes, you need to have a high conversation and ask how far I can go here.
Okay.
Because look, I never heard someone that actually didn't want to do it, actually did it because, okay, let's do it, and then complain about.
Okay.
Okay? Usually, when you start, the more you do it, the
Yep.
more you want to do it. Okay?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
And this is why I suggest with the people with the lower libido to have maybe to approach more often than the other one.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Make plan. Make a
Yep.
plan. Okay. Look, this weekend, I won't ask you, you're going to ask.
Okay.
You're going to organize something. But of course, for example, there's a patient of mine they had a problem on sex libido. You say because the stars and the moon must align.
Okay.
I asked him, when is the last time have you taken her out for a dinner?
Ooh.
6 months ago.
Oh, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Lift your game.
When is the last time have you give her a massage? You give both something? I know because the kids. I'm so busy. I don't have to. I work a lot. Well, mate, you need to figure out that maybe you cannot expect come home. Hey, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Let's go.
that's right. Yeah. Look, prioritize that relationship, okay?
Yeah.
And intimacy doesn't always have to be sex, right?
No.
Yeah, there's no question about that. But if you're with someone, if you're in a loving relationship, you guess what? Nobody ever sat on their laid on their deathbed and said, "Gee, I wish I spent more time in the office," right? Guess what? We all pine after. We pine after our relationships, our connection with other people. Whether that just be that could be a relationship with your children, that could be a relationship with your friends, or that could be a sexual relationship,
Sure.
right? Yeah, this is human beings need connection.
Yes.
So guess what? Make priority out of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The difference between a friendship and a relationship that you have the extra sex in
Sure.
the middle.
Yeah.
But again, what is sex? Is only penetrative sex?
No, there's all different types.
So there's many ways to have
Yeah.
sex with someone. Okay, you can use toys, you can touch each other,
Sure.
you can caress each other, you can talk, or you can watch the other person do himself or do herself.
Yeah, suppose you could.
And you can just, if you don't want to because you're not in turn,
Yep.
okay, look, I'm helping you. That is sex. It's a moment of intimacy
I suppose it is, isn't it?
because you're there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
maybe you say something naughty to the ear of the other person.
Yeah, you've got to help fire it along. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Turn on the fire. But you there. You present.
Yep. No, I
Sex
agree.
is not only
Yeah, it's,
that thing, you know?
it's not all boom, boom, boom. Absolutely. agree, yeah.
biggie bangy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I think that a lot of us get focused on that side of things,
Yeah.
and think that it's the only sexual experience, which is just not true, right?
Yeah.
But again, okay, I can say that as a man who's getting on the older years now, and I see things differently to how I used to see them, and I don't know, that intimacy is now far more important than like when you're younger, you're in your 20s, it's boom, boom, boom.
Well,
Let's go back to my room.
testosterone is
right?
everywhere, so
Yeah. So it all changes. So
Yeah.
and I think, look, ultimately, we're going to end the show in a second. I just want to, basically, kind of thank you because the fact is, we're having a conversation about something very awkward, very uncomfortable for so many people, right?
Yeah.
But what a great opportunity to have a conversation like this because there's people watching right now who feel awkward about having this conversation. Now, by seeing other people having two blokes talking about sex, right? Guess what? It opens the door for two blokes out there, or three blokes out there, five blokes out there, six women and two, whatever, who cares, whatever combination, right?
Absolutely.
To have these conversations because the communication is the bottom line to relationships and intimacy,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to add another thing.
Yeah.
If you feel that is wrong, if you feel that is uncomfortable,
Yep.
if you feel that you don't want to do it, don't do it.
You know what? That sounds like the most common sense thing, but you're so right. It has to be said, doesn't it?
Yes.
It really does. Okay.
Yes.
Fair call.
Because sometimes we want to push boundaries,
Yep.
and we regret it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So there is communication, like in everything around the world. We thrive in relationship. We live longer if we have good relationship.
Sure.
Okay, men with a good, healthy relationship,
Yep.
love relationship, live 8 years longer than the single man.
Is that right?
Study say that. So
Okay.
many study, Gottman study, and other studies that have been made on thousands and thousands of couples around since the 80s.
Right.
Found actually relationship is what make a person live longer.
Oh, see, I always think about the joke about the fact that why do men die before their wives? because they want to, right?
They want to.
It's a joke. Hello.
I like it.
Yeah, you got to have a bit of fun.
Like it.
Got to have fun in life,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, put a smile on your face. It's
Absolutely.
the most important thing to do. All right, we are getting out of here. But before I do that, again, mate, that email address, if you want to get in touch and get some counselling and some one-on-one, because
Yes.
let's face it, yeah, we can talk as much as we like.
Yeah.
One-on-one when you can personalise it is
Yes.
incredibly important. So how can we get hold of you, mate?
You go to my website, maurodavidi.com. So, and is MAURODAVIDDI.com. And otherwise,
Well,
they can call you.
They can call me.
Aaron,
You know what
who's
else?
this guy?
They can. The other thing they can do is actually just go to our website, edgeradioaustralia.com.
Yes.
Your face, mate, it pops
I'm
up.
there. I'm
You're
there.
there. You're
I'm
there.
there. Woo.
When you see you there, click away, and it'll take you to the link, and away we go. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
mate.
Aaron, for your hospitality. It's always fantastic.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being part of Progress Over Perfection here on Edge Radio.